and like that. Because also you say, I don't have that much confidence. If you do this, you become so confident. Because you don't need the praise of others, you don't need the appreciation of others. So again, the self-cherishing tells us this will be really bad. I'm not sure if it will be really bad. But you start from where you are, and then you increase. You increase. Again, change the situation around. Somebody made a mistake. Somebody else, you made a mistake. Somebody else comes and says, oh, actually it's my fault. What shall we do now? How would you feel? Would you exploit that person? Would you disrespect that person? Huh? Yeah, so it's a self-cherishing who says, oh, don't do it. This has very bad consequences. Anyway, these practices need to be done voluntarily, okay? Nobody says you have to do them. And they're difficult. I'm not saying they're not difficult. It's like we said, they're difficult. And like that we become fearless. Even if I'm, at the bottom of the ladder, I lose my job, whatever, life always continues. People lose their job without taking the blame. Isn't it? Without doing these practices, people lose their jobs. Why? Not because they're not capable. One thing is karmic effect coming along there, and other factors. Yeah. At least you can start by not blaming others, let's say. It's a tricky one. It's like the self-cherishing doesn't like, that's the worst for the self-cherishing, taking the blame. Because we're so righteous. And as we said last night also, so many mistakes we've made where we were not blamed. Isn't it? Nobody found out, we were not blamed. Now one we should take where we take the blame even though I didn't do it, and we make such a big fuss about it. We're quite happy when we get away with things. But when we're blamed and it wasn't me, or we take the blame and it wasn't me, we make such a big thing out of it. Try it out. Just try it out. Like what this woman said was quite amazing. She said, yeah, nothing happened. We continued to work because it calmed down the situation. So without others, there's no path. Why? If you have no other people, there is no path. Like, be grateful to all. Without others, there is no path. Why? Because, for example, a part of the path is to practice ethical conduct. So without others, we cannot harm anybody. Another part of the path is to practice compassion. Without others, we cannot be compassionate. Part of the path is to practice generosity. Without others, we cannot practice generosity. Patience. Without others, we cannot practice patience. So without others, there is no path. And without others, and this is the main point, there is no what? Huh? Without others, there is no enlightenment.
Enlightenment, yeah.
Because what is enlightenment depending on?
Everyone.
Bodhicitta.
Yeah.
Can you remember the definition of bodhicitta? Can I have it from somebody? In order to lead all sentient beings to that state, that is bodhicitta. So if you have no others, then there's only self-liberation. There's no the bliss of full awakening. So we need others. So that's why we. Huh? Even though they don't exist inherently, they do exist as a dependent arising, but they don't exist inherently. still, also suffering doesn't exist inherently. You know, this is why when the Buddha, have you heard about the sutra, the Heart Sutra? It's the second turning of the wheel. Like there's 3 turnings of the wheel where Buddha explained like very, very, very specific points. So in that Heart Sutra it says like form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Form is not other than emptiness, emptiness is no other than form. Therefore, in emptiness, there's no feeling, there's no form, no feelings, no discrimination, no composition factors, no consciousness. There's no eye, no ear, no nose, no bump, no tongue, no body, no mind, no this, no that, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no tactile objects. There is no suffering. There is no origin of suffering. There is no cessation of suffering. And there's no past. So what does he mean? There is no attainment, and even worse, no non-attainment. So understanding that there is no attainment is the attainment when it comes to emptiness. The Heart Sutra, so it's a sutra. It's a sutra about, like there is no goal, but there's also not a goal. And then we go, what is there? Something in between. Something that is free from a real goal and from no goal, which is a dependently arising goal. Again, emptiness. Okay? So then he, on the second turning of the wheel, he teaches about, first he wants us to understand suffering. And then he says, look, but actually there is no suffering. So it's like the psychotic person who sees 50 elephants in his room. So if somebody is very clever and very intelligent, you can say, look, 50 elephants in your room, okay, is the door broken? No, not broken. And then how did they get in? So even though the elephants appear, the person knows they cannot be in the room because before they were not there, now they're there, but the door is not broken. How did they get in? So they maybe understand that it's just a projection of the mind. For people who are not so intelligent like us, the Buddha first says, yeah, there is elephants. I can see them. There is suffering. I can see it. These are the causes. And then let's make sound. Let's make noise. Let's make fire. Let's beat the drum. And then also the elephants disappear because they have not been there from the beginning. Because the person thinks we've done something about it. So that's the first turning of the wheel, the Four Noble Truths. Real suffering, true suffering. The noble truths of true origin, true cessation and true path. So this is why Buddhism is so complex, because it has so many. It's because it has these two sides, the conventional side and the ultimate side. And you need to know from which side one is coming. So here we're coming from the conventional side. We're grateful to everything that can show us the truth. So what? Like when we are being blamed, what does it show us? When we make mistakes, when we have problems, what does it show us? Samsara sucks. There's no place where we are secure from any problems. Nowhere. Nobody. There's not one person in the whole universe who never has a problem. Not even one. And we still have to hope it should be me. Isn't it? So we give up that one. And then we progress further. Renunciation, getting out of samsara. Not making samsara a better place. Not cleaning up, not making our toilet really clean that we're locked in. Wanting to get out, to liberation, freedom from negative emotions. But first we need to understand where we're locked in and that there is another world. What's the next one? Transform adverse circumstances into the path of enlightenment. Apply meditation immediately at every opportunity. That's Tonglen. Okay? So when things go good, you breathe out good. When things go bad, you breathe in bad of others. Okay? It's quite simple, it's quite straightforward. When they talk about meditation, that's what they mean, the Tonglen meditation. At every opportunity. Yeah.
What is the meaning of
unwholesomeness? Chaos, negative, bad, suffering, unwholesome. Wholesome is something that is whole, like complete, healed. How to say? Yeah, whole, like, whole grains. So everything is still there. Unwholesomeness, something that brings suffering, something that creates suffering. And it is overflowing at the moment with unwholesomeness. Yeah, like negative emotions are being rewarded. You kill, you get a medal. Or you become a hero. You're being told that you'll go to a heaven with, how many? 71 virgins or something. 17 or something. I mean, if that is not a wrong view, I don't know what is a wrong view. Excuse me. And how that wrong view creates suffering, I think.
The last wrong view in this is that if you kill a lot of animals,
yeah, it's another wrong view. Exactly. Yeah. How can your compassionate God be happy when you create so much suffering? I mean, it's like, yeah, how can that be a right view? If the animals come happily along and say, yes, please kill me for the grace of God, okay. They're not happy, they don't know why they're being killed. They don't want to be killed. Anyway, apply meditation immediately at every opportunity. So we always have the opportunity to do Tonglen. Yeah? But we hardly ever do it. We forget, we remain locked in our own suffering. So when you cannot take the blame, or when you cannot take the suffering of others, what do? Can you still apply the meditation of Tonglen? Yes or no? Yes. How?
when you don't take the blame.
When you cannot take the blame, it's too difficult, you're too scared. When you can not take the suffering of others because there's resistance in your heart or with your self-cherishing, can you still do the meditation of Tonglen? How? Huh? Yeah, exactly. So this is something that is really present in your life. And at the time of your death, instead of panicking, you will start to do Tonglen. Naturally, automatically. This is how it should come. This is why we have these slogans, Don't wait for the opportunity to come. Whatever occurs, do it. We have to breathe anyway. And usually we have a lot of thoughts while we're breathing and we're not with the breathing. So then we would be much more with the breathing. If you feel really, really happy, you breathe out, you think, wow, may everybody enjoy that happiness. And you give them that happiness. If you really feel a lot of pain, suffering, you think, oh, may nobody experience that pain. So simple, so straightforward. So straightforward. Then the Supreme Method is accompanied by the 4 practices. Okay, so what are these 4 practices? The 4 practices is one thing, you stop to do negative actions by being really fed up. We need to be fed up with our negative emotions. By not identifying with it and then saying, I had enough of reacting like this all the time. And then you do purification practices with the 4 opponent powers. Regret, refuge, bodhicitta, and action, and the determination to be more, to train in awareness and mindfulness in order to be able to see these negative emotions arising when they're still small. Okay? Then, when the mind is fairly calm, create positive actions. Be kind, whatever you can do to others, even if it's something as insignificant as fishing an insect out of up there's a little pond. If you see insects some insects swim on the water, so they're okay. But there's insects that fall in the water, so we fish them out. We start like this. We start to look. Or you're on the airport, and you're waiting for the belt, and people are already a bit like, because it's really important that they see their suitcase immediately. Otherwise, God forbid, he will make another round. It's so much tension around these belts. And then you see this small old woman like me, but I never have that heavy luggage. I usually have a lot of luggage because I bring things, and but you see somebody like me, pulling at the suitcase, and you go and help. But you ask first. How do you ask? When you ask somebody, how do you ask? Can I help you? Huh? May I help you might be a better way. I would like to help you. May I is the best. Yeah. Usually it's like, do you need help? It's not very respectful. And especially with handicapped people, they usually refuse. Because they want to keep their independence and their integrity. So it's very difficult to ask these people for help because very often you get refusal. Because also they can't cope. But so when I usually ask like this, I say, I would like to help, can I? Or may I help? And when they say no, usually they add, but thank you very much for asking. So it's not like no. They see the good intention.
Somebody asked, but Israel not allowed a lot of people ask if you can help.
Not a lot of people ask. No, because Israelis help spontaneously, by the way. You are champions in that. I am in many, many, many different countries, and the Israelis are the best to help without being asked. They just help. Yeah. It's nice.
At least one thing.
Huh?
At least one thing good.
Not just one thing. We have many things that are good. So that's very nice. You're much better than other people, other nations, like let's say. Not everybody, of course, but in general. That's great. Okay, so you do positive deeds. Still, sometimes it's good to ask instead of just like kind of interfere. You still ask. Because some people might not want it. Some people might become suspicious. Some people, what does she want? But usually situations like wheelchairs and things like that, Israelis are there to help. When somebody goes crazy in Tushita or in Bodhgaya, I always ask these Israelis to help because they're the best. One thing, they have experience from the army. When other people freak out, they know it. They know freaking out themselves. And they're quite resilient and they're quite determined to stay with you. You know, other nations, like when they see how difficult it is to look after a person who's gone older, they get frightened and they don't come anymore. So Israelis are the best. What do you think? Why do you think that is? There is a reason for that. Because you live under very difficult conditions. You know, this thing when you have, twice we had a puncture. In Switzerland, you could wait and wait and wait. You would have to phone the garage for somebody to come to help you. Here, it took what? The first car stopped. In Tel Aviv, same thing. A young guy with a scooter, he stopped and he helped us change the tire. Amazing. Switzerland, you would have to phone the garage. Nobody would stop. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but in general, yeah. So, it's good. It's great. So even that, you know, the difficult situation, you're still depending on each other when, you know, like terrorist attacks, bombs and all this. People are used to be there and to help.
Yeah.
You're trained. So even that very terrible situation can bring something good. So again, you know, transforming adverse circumstances into the path, even there we can see a good thing. That your minds are trained to help others because you need it. Switzerland we don't need. We are independent, there's no danger in the road, in the street. I think that's why. Maybe also the kibbutz thinking still somewhere present, I'm not sure. Yeah?
Does it reflect something about self-tradition?
No, you do have self-tradition. I'm not saying you don't. But I'm saying when it comes down to helping others, spontaneously, you're champions. You're the best. Also, when you see how this country was built, you know, people giving up so many things, not the ones who came from the Holocaust, but the ones who came from very comfortable situations in the States or in, you know, place like Switzerland or Europe and came to this country where nothing was developed and started to work really hard labor, like building houses and plowing fields, giving up their children and all this, like, whew, great. Okay, then the next, so these two ones, they're kind of the four, the four activities, four practices. The first two ones are easy to understand. This is how we make progress on the path. We purify negative deeds that we already done. We try to abstain from them, and we try to do mitzvahs. Simple, you know the word mitzvah, so you try to do mitzvahs. It's a good thing to do mitzvahs. Now, for whatever reason you do it, you can do it for a very selfish reason, because you want to be liked and you want to have a reward. Then if you don't get the reward, you will stop, you will feel exploited. You can also do it for the reason to attain enlightenment. Then you will never feel exploited because you need mitzvahs on the way to full awakening. The next two ones, they're a bit strange. So they are from the Tibetan tradition. It's like feeding the spirits, and they're called döns. So döns are kind of, they give them forms. The Tibetans give them forms because Tibetan comes from the burn practice, which was like nature spirits and all these kinds of things. Now we say, as a Westerner, we would say they don't exist. Not sure. You know, when old people totally change personality, sometimes I'm not sure if not the spirit has entered them and took possession of the body. When the mind is very weak, these spirits, they try to have bodies so that they can do things. We had an old woman not in Dharamsala, but nearby. She had a spirit entering her, always asking for beer. She doesn't drink beer, and she had a very, very, very low voice. So her son, who is a monk, whenever she was kind of in trance, she was not herself, he would talk to the spirit, give the spirit Dharma teachings. Yeah. So they do believe in these things. So one makes offerings to these döns, like when you see me going around sometimes in the morning, and this is what I'm doing. And I like to do it. I don't know if there are döns or not, but feeding them, I think, one thing is easy, and it's joyful. And in the morning I make offerings to positive energies, to the dakinis in all directions. So that, because they say, these energies have an influence on our subtle mind or on our subtle nervous system. So the dakinis, I make offerings because I ask them to inspire me. In the evening I feed the döns, or I feed the hungry ghosts or the spirits, with the sur practice. Now, in general, we think this is to appease them, but no. They say when some spirits kind of attack you, this is when, from everything going really well, all of a sudden, financial crisis, or your husband or your wife leaves you, or there's terrible disharmony in the family, or things like that, or we start to get depressed, we don't really know why. This is when they say these are dön attacks. So or accidents. So what it is, it's wake-up calls. Wake-up calls that samsara is not a pleasure grove. So we actually make offerings to the döns to say thank you for disturbing us. That's why we make offerings to them. So again, if you invite a problem because you want to use it as a training, you're not afraid of the problem. And problems will come whether you want or not. Okay, so these are the döns. And then make the fourth practice is making offerings to the protectors. So the protectors are usually very wrathful deities. You see them in Tibetan temples, with like fangs, and then they have garlands of 50 freshly cut head around their neck, like a necklace, or sometimes skulls, and they really look very horrible. So we make offerings to them so that when we have moments of being lazy, not wanting to practice and all this, that we ask them to inspire us or to put us back on the path. Because we need that from time to time. That we get too complacent. Everything is going well. so much harmony in the group. I go to Yechiam, I'm having such a good time, but it's not the right motivation. So, or no, I don't feel well, I'm not going. So we're making offerings to the protectors. There's special pujas for that, tea offering and all this. So it's like, again, it's like playing games. It's like playing, it's role play, or there's a German, Austrian therapist which is called Bert Hellinger, where you do family things, you know, like people play family, people from your family, but it's strange people, and then you say, okay, Itzik is the father, Alisa is the mom, Daniela is the daughter, and Rona is the son, or is the sister. Okay? So you, as the person who sees your family, you have to put them into places. So sometimes they're facing each other, sometimes not. And your subtle mind, just by seeing them where you put them, starts to understand a lot of things. It's a very, very powerful therapy. I think in English it's called family therapy.
We have it here as well.
Yeah.
It's called,
So whoever started this, his name is called Bert Hellinger.
family transformation.
Yeah, like that. So it's very powerful. So it's just these games that I'm playing morning, evening, and sometimes on the 29th. It's like, I'm feeding my subtle mind. I've done everything I need to do. I can relax. If things go well, okay. If they don't go well, it's also okay, but I did everything I could do. So again, it's all about bringing us to a state of being relaxed and open and courageous. Okay? So these are these 4 practices. Or you know, with the protectors also we can do, because the protectors, they even have stories about them, that they were very harmful spirits. And then, yeah, wait, they are very harmful spirits, and then they've been subdued by, let's say, Padmasambhava through his wisdom and his compassion, and because they have power, so he told them, now you protect the Dharma. You protect people who practice the Dharma. Now it doesn't mean you protect them from outside enemies, also, but you protect them especially from inner enemies like laziness and all this. The Dharma protectors. Beings who make promises to protect the Dharma. Beings have power, like Mahakala, and Kalarupa, and Palden Lamo, and all these ones. Now don't forget, they're also empty of real existence. The same way as we are empty of real existence, they also don't exist from their own side. But they're also not totally non-existent. They're also not totally just a fantasy. See, when you visualize, when you take refuge and you visualize the merit field, it's okay. You visualize the merit field. You see the Buddha, and then you see this side is Maitreya. No, this side is Maitreya, this side is Manjushri, and then is Sangha, and all these people like the merit field. What kind of approach do we have to these beings? Or when you said, Alona, when you said you like to do Vajrasattva practice, so you visualize Vajrasattva, something that we visualize. What is your relationship to that visualization?
I think for me it's not only the Vajrasattva, it's all the people that are around me in my life.
Vajrasattva. But all the people around you are not Buddhas.
No, but they are with me when I'm...
Yeah, they're with you when you... Vajrasattva is the one who is sending the light to purify you. So what relationship do we have when we visualize the Buddha, for example? What kind of relationship, connection we have to the Buddha?
It's inspiring.
Huh? How do we? What kind of relationship we have if the Dalai Lama would stand in front of us? What kind of feelings would we have?
Oh,
Yeah. We have the same strengths of feelings when we visualize the Buddha and when the Dalai Lama is here? No. So this is what we have to strengthen. The inspiration that the Dalai Lama is able to give us, we should find in the visualization. We don't find it because we see it as a total mental construct. It's not there. It's just imagination.
It's
So then they cannot bless us. They cannot purify us because we don't allow it, because we think it's just an illusion. Now these are just like an illusion, but not a total illusion. They do not exist inherently, really, like this, like a god or a theistic thing outside, but still they do exist as the power to be able to purify my negative karma. If I have regret, do the action of saying the mantra and do the visualization. If I allow them to purify me or to bless, to inspire me, yeah, and if I make strong determination not to do the action again, then the four powers are together. One is outside, the three others are inside. The trust that it works, placebo, the power of the mind. You see, and with placebo, if you know that it's placebo, it probably won't work. With Buddhism, the more you know all is just placebo, the better it works. That's the nice thing. But you know that the placebo works. This is why it still works. So these are these protectors, okay?
So what is the difference?
Archetypes, are you familiar with archetypes? Jung? Something similar. Something that is part of our mind that we need to activate in order to continue with the path. Yes, Sarah.
So what is the difference between in terms of
Huh?
down versus
The Derns are usually harmful. The protectors are good. They put us back on the path.
So the turn, they don't put us back on the path because of
No, they harm us. They're the ones who create the harm. It can put us on
but
the...
it put us on the path because we have to challenge.
Not necessarily. You can also give up. You can also give up. You see, an enemy that wants to harm you can, like for example, this father who had his son who was killed when he was 17 delivering the pizza. That situation, that would be a Dön. Okay? So that father can go into total hate and into total thing. So the intention of the Dön is to disturb, is not to help you. The intention of the protector is to help you. So we have different relationship to these things. So it's a total kind of fantasy world, the Buddhist world. It goes into Tantra. So Mickey Mouse, you know? 100 years ago, nobody knew who Mickey Mouse was. Now he has become a real, existing Mickey Mouse somewhere in a cartoon, making, talking and making actions and all this. Why? Because Walt Disney created him. So these things, these are Tibetans can relate to that because they grow up with that. We sometimes we have difficulties, so we have to be careful when we do these rituals that we really understand what this is all about. It's not appeasing outside Döns or protectors or whatever. It is to activate the forces in our own mind. One thing is, whenever problems are there, we welcome them, the Döns, because it's a wake-up call. But we also ask for protection, to be protected, to be given the strength that we need on the path. But if you look down there, with Manjushri, there's Vajrapani. The blue Vajrapani has a snake around his thing. He is in flame. There's flames around him. The blue one. He looks wrathful.
Down?
Yeah. So that is not a protector. That is Vajrapani, which is a manifestation of an enlightened Buddha's strength and power. And sometimes we need that power. You see, if you have somebody who's really violent, and then you go and say, "Oh no, but don't be violent. Just be kind. You'll be much happier." Why? He's going to beat you up. That's not going to impress him. So you need the compassionate wisdom and power to be able to manifest. Like there's this story about Chenrezig and Hayagriva. Hayagriva is also a very wrathful Buddha. He's red. So he was a monster, and he was harming others. So and he was frightening others. So so what Chenrezig did, because he's Buddha, so he manifested himself as Hayagriva and appeared before Hayagriva, and Hayagriva who says, "Ah, who are you?" And he said, "That's how you look. This is you. You're going around frightening people." Yeah. So violence sometimes needs force, strength to be stopped, but not anger, not with anger. And for us, we don't know, because for us, when we use force, there's anger behind. Otherwise, we don't dare. So we leave that. We're doing things in a peaceful way. Yeah. So if you have somebody who is very violent, if you can, run away. Or plead with him, you know, please don't harm me, or something like that. Don't use your wrathful face. He'll laugh at you. Unless you have the confidence, but that now you are Kalarupa. I heard stories also when somebody was in a Vajrayogini retreat and somebody attacked her with a knife. She thought, okay, because in the retreat you visualize yourself constantly as that deity. She says, okay, now I'm Vajrayogini. She took the knife like this and she pulled it away from him. But she had a very slight cut here. But she had the confidence and the strength of that Vajrayogini power. Vajrayogini is a female Buddha, which is not totally wrathful, but a little bit wrathful. Quite powerful. Yeah? So if you have practiced these things and you have dissolved everything that you are here, and you visualize yourself as that deity, you could have the confidence it could work. But if you don't have it and if you fail, I'm not sure it would be beneficial. Then better run away if you can. Okay? So these are these 4 practices. So that's what you do when you do mind training. Now again, an ordinary person doesn't do these things. An ordinary person doesn't take the blame. An ordinary person is not grateful for everything. But if you want to do mind training, if you want to attain enlightenment, these are the methods, these are the tools that you will do. Do you understand what I mean? So if you haven't even made the decision yet that you want to attain full awakening, then of course you don't need to do these things. This is not for a happy samsara. This is for liberation from suffering and from kleshas. So how can that be easy? If it would be easy, we would all be enlightened. Okay, number 4 quickly. This one is also quite straightforward. The integrated practice of a single lifetime. In brief, the essence of the instruction is to train in the 5 powers. There is 5 powers at the time of when we are living, and 5 powers at the time of death. So the 5 powers are what you are, that will strengthen your practice, that will strengthen these points. So the first of these 5 powers is, anybody knows? Anybody has heard about these powers? Anybody practices them? It's like machines in the gym that make us strong. Familiarity. The power of familiarity. The more we do these things, the more familiar we become with it, the more the mind will go there. At the moment, the mind is familiar with self-cherishing and frightening, and no, I'm not going to do that. I could get damaged. Yeah. Then we say, okay, let me get damaged. So what? So we're doing, we're just shifting the whole thing. It's still an intention, but instead of no, I don't want to be damaged, we go, yes, let me be damaged. And then see what I can do with it. But for that, you need to have the confidence that there's no ground that you can crash on. That there is no I that gets hurt. That I that gets hurt is only an idea. Also Chögyam Trungpa, not in his book, but in another book, he says, when you really understand what Buddhism is all about, it's like falling from an aeroplane without a parachute. Meaning that you have no security anywhere. That's the bad news. What's the good news?
There's no ice.
Huh?
No ground.
There's no ground to crash. There's only continuity. The ground we create through our wrong view, through this I. This is the thing that crashes all the time. It's the self-existing I. You see, all the mental hurts that we carry with us, I mean, it's long finished. And we still carry it. Why? And we take it up again and again and again and again. And we go, yeah, it still hurts. You see, somebody says you're an idiot or whatever, somebody doesn't give you what you want, or somebody doesn't give you praise, criticism, even if it's done with anger. Why feel so hurt? It's finished. It's words. If these same words are directed at somebody else that you dislike, you'll be happy. You wouldn't feel hurt. If it's directed at somebody that you don't know, you don't care. It's the same words. So if we understand that, it's like these arrows, they fall in front of us. They're here. They haven't hit us. Because why? It's just words. The person is confused. The person is disturbed. The person is angry. I don't have to take it. But no, the self-cherishing, oh, that we go. Let me have it and then I can suffer. Yeah? But then, let's say the thing is finished. The arrows, we leave them here. We need them, yeah, to be the victim. That when we misbehave, we can say, oh, somebody done that to me at one point. This is why I now misbehave. This goes into the Yom Kippur retreat, why we don't forgive, because it gives us power. The victim takes itself the power to hurt and to strike back. Think it has a right to do that. So we keep these arrows. So we, look, that arrow's been shown. Look, it hurts. It still hurts. Boom, boom, boom. Of course it still hurts because you keep rehashing the whole story again and again and again and again. You're not letting go. All this is also about letting go. Let it be. It's finished. Get on with it. That dream is finished. That movie is finished. Start a new one. Or change the role. Anyway, that goes into the forgiving thing. So the power of familiarity, we are very familiar with not forgiving and not being kind and being very self-cherishing. So we change it. And the power of the white seed, sometimes it's called. Meaning, again, we start to go on the path to enlightenment. We create positive, huh? Yeah, exactly. Make mitzvahs. The more mitzvahs we have, the happier we are. I mean, this is your own religion is telling you that. Don't you trust that? The better your heart is. You know, if you see somebody who is really compassionate, has a good heart, pretty relaxed, don't you think they're happy? Yeah. Do you think we can become like them? Yeah. So the power of the white seed. Then the power of what is called repudiation. What we reject. We reject the self-cherishing. Again and again and again and again. Not always giving in. Like we go, and they want something. You say, no, now you shut up. You're not criticizing that person. You're not telling the story. You're not going to rehash it. You're not going to have that object that anyway, then you will want another object and so forth. Yeah? Then the power of looking very far, kind of the power of aspiration, maybe, where we want to go. Our automatic pilot is for happiness now. The self-cherishing, whatever comes difficult, it says, no thank you, I think what I have is good enough, I'll stay the way I am. Okay, that's the self-cherishing. So the power of aspiration is now, not good enough, I want to go to full enlightenment. But the automatic pilot is for happiness now. This is why when you have a headache, you go like, no, I'm not going to meditate. It takes so little to prevent us from doing the hygiene for the mind, which would be awareness meditation. You spend much more time with your hair and with your makeup and with your showers and with preparing your breakfast. But for the hygiene of the mind, very little. Isn't it? And then we wonder why we're not